America, we have a problem. There's a takeover going on, and I know you guys have seen it, been witness to it. America is not the dominant force in MMA as it once was. Yeah, there's a takeover going on. We got the Russian invasion going on. Russians are dominating the sport, is a couple fighters have said, and many fans have said, Russians are taking over the sport. You know, it's no longer the sport that the American dominated sport that us Americans have loved for so many years now. It's like we aren't the guys no more. Russians are dominating the sport. But enough of the clickbait. Russia is not our biggest problem. It's not our biggest problem. The USSR are definitely not our biggest problem now. They are no longer here. The remnants of them are around still, but the USSR is not a thing, as far as we know, on the surface level. But yeah, and a lot of people like say Russia's dominating the sport or whatever. Kind of in a sense, but really, I'll get into that. But I'll jump into this first. But I can see with the point where they say like Russians are dominating sport. From the perspective of casuals, how they feel like Russians are dominating sport. Yes, I can see it. And even from like a non-casual perspective, I can see it because I see what they've been doing. Even years prior, I've seen in like I say, oh, Russians are doing pretty good in MMA. Like they're a pretty good force of MMA. Like they're doing well. They beat this, they do this, they do that. But then like I saw the theme and I see their shortcomings, I see their strength, their weaknesses. And for the most part, for me, like to be honest, they like look at PFL. Like they won like pretty much every division in PFL, if not every division in PFL. But yeah, this is where my point comes in. Yes, they won PFL. Yes, they got that champion in ONE FC, who was like a two division champion or three division champion. He was like a three division. He was heavyweight, light heavyweight, and middleweight. But just think about that for a little bit. Heavyweight, light heavyweight, middleweight. So if he can make middleweight, he's definitely not a real heavyweight, or true heavyweight. Then really look at the competition he fought, and the level of competition in ONE FC is like, especially the upper weights are beyond mediocre. Then PFL, look at the PFL belts. PFL clearly got washed by Bellator. Bellator was a good league. PFL's all right, but yeah, Bellator beat them like 6 out of 7 fights. So Bellator is clearly a better league than PFL as far as the fighters. Obviously, PFL got the more money because they bought Bellator, but Bellator clearly has had better competition, a higher level. And both of those levels are clearly way below the UFC. Not to say that every fighter in PFL or Bellator is way below the UFC level, but there's gonna be a couple guys you could pick out of there that could even become champion. A few, maybe like 2, 3 you could pick out, maybe UFC champions, maybe. But it's clearly a big gap between UFC level and PFL level. And the thing with Russian fighters or Russian adjacent fighters that I noticed is they have a style that they could kind of rise up very quickly, but they kind of get stuck in the middle. That's where most of them get stuck at. They get stuck in the middle. And we've seen with PFL, I feel like PFL championship level was like mid-level, low, top 15, like champion. Like the champions in PFL on average are like bottom top 15 level UFC fighters. And we seen Olivier Aubin-Mercier, who was like a bottom top 15 or top 25 fighter in UFC. He went over to be a 2-time PFL champion. We seen what Sean O'Connell went over there. He was like a journeyman light heavyweight. He went over there to become a PFL champion. Vinny Magalhaes, he was like couldn't really cut in the UFC, but he went over into PFL, and I think he made it to 2 finales or at least did well in 2 tournaments in PFL. So again, like you see that the level of it is not as good. You've seen PFL champions come over here, and I forget that one guy's name, but he wasn't even able to become a top 15 heavyweight. It's not very hard to become a top 15 heavyweight, and he wasn't able to do that. So it's clearly that PFL is not on level UFC. And again, that's where I feel the majority of Russian fighters, they come out, they look so imposing and this and that, but then we get to the bread and butter and what actually matters. That's where they're not really excelling at. Our real issue is Brazilians, to be honest. It's always been Brazilians, but we still lap everyone else. Like the U.S., let me say this right now, the U.S. has about 50 champions in the history of UFC. Brazil has about like 20 UFC champions in the history, about 20. And these aren't exactly accurate, but these are right in the ballpark. And Russia has about, in all these years combined, Russia has about 3 champions. You could try to count Arlovsky as a Belarusian or whatever. You could try to count him. Maybe that pushes to 4. You could try to count Valentina Shevchenko. That pushes to 5. You could try to count the what's his name? I forget the dude's name right now, but he's a legend of the sport. He was way back in the UFC days before modern UFC, but like tournament system. He was in a couple super fights. I forget the guy's name, but he's a legend. I think he was like really the first Russian superstar as far as MMA goes. Not talking about no Igor Vachichin, who was more modern MMA in pride and whatnot, but that guy was Ukrainian anyway. But nonetheless, you could try to add all up. You could add up, but still, you could fit all the Russian champions in UFC history like on one hand. In America, like we more than Latin. So as far as like them dominating sport, I feel like they really aren't dominating sport because PFL again is nowhere near UFC level. It's like bottom top, like the championship level of PFL is like bottom top 15, if even that, for the most part. And then even another one, Imba Kasanganai, he can cut in the UFC. He got cut from the UFC, and he went over there. I think he became like a 2-time champion in PFL, or at least a 1-time champion in PFL. And he was fighting at like light heavyweight and stuff, way above his weight class. That's to show you like the skill level in PFL is just not good. A journeyman or a guy who couldn't make it in the UFC at a lower weight class is winning championships at light heavyweight, like 2 divisions up in your league. So that league just not that good. No insult him, is the reality of it. And I feel like that's where most Russians kind of fall in. And we look at all the Russians that have become champion, or the majority of Russian success in UFC today. You know, you had Fedor and Pride. That's a very respectable level. And that's, in my opinion, one of the greatest fighters of all time. Fedor, but again, like few and far in between compared to what America has been doing, Brazil has been doing, like constantly putting people out, been putting out so many people that people easily forget all the success that Brazilians have had in MMA. Even despite the fact that MMA, as we know, pretty much started with a Brazilian and Royce Gracie. But yeah, Brazilian and America, that's the 2 countries that have been dominating MMA. No one else. You can say, oh, this person's been doing that. They've been doing that. Nah. And Russia's as dominant as they are, Africa of all places, I think had more champions and more defenses than they had. Adesanya, who had like 6 defenses, Usman, who has like 5, and Ngannou, who had like 1, like 3 champions. They got Dricus Du Plessis now. So in all that time, Russia's been in UFC just about longer than anyone else. Pretty much from the beginning. Africa just really got here, and they already got 4 champions. So Russia's dominating something, but Africa already passed you up in just a matter of like 5 years, 5-6 years. So I don't know about the whole Russian invasion. I know people like to glaze Russia or size Russia up, and it's no insult to Russia, but I'm just a realist. Like, what have y'all been doing? They doing this, they doing that, they dominating this, they dominate that. And nothing Russians are very good at doing. They'll look like they're doing something. They'll run into a brick wall. That fighter will vanish off the face of the earth. Like, you'll see a Russian guy, oh, he's this, he's that, he's going to be the next champion. Or, oh my gosh, he's so good. The moment he lose, or the moment he gets struggle, this ghost, and they just don't act like that never happened. Then the next upcoming Russian, like, oh, he's doing this, doing that. But let me just say another thing. Just kind of eat through Russia real quick. No insult, just the reality of things. All these divisions, how you dominating the sport, in reality, really the only league that truly matters overall in MMA right now is UFC. No disrespect to other leagues. There are respectable levels. But all of those leagues are really just warm up to get to the UFC. Like, they're good, but you really want to be the best, you got to be the UFC champion. You got to be in the UFC. Like, get your belts in another league. Come over here, get your good contract, come to UFC. So I can't say you're dominating the sport if you really have only had belts in 2 weight classes. You had belts in the lightweight division, Khabib and Islam, and you had Petr Yan at bantamweight. So 2 divisions, 3 belts. Right now, I can say y'all dominating the lightweight division because Khabib held the belt, defended 3 times, passed it off to Islam pretty much. Well, he didn't pass it off because Charles got the belt. But anyway, yeah, Charles got in between. Islam picked it up. But yeah, nonetheless, over the past 10 years, you guys probably have had the belt like 5-6 years out of the past 10 years of lightweight, and then you're gonna pass it on to Usman Nurmagomedov, and he probably gonna hold it for another 3-4 years, and maybe another Nurmagomedov gonna pop up out the woodwork and hold it for another time. Maybe y'all gonna pretty much be on and off holding the belt for 20 years, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, they're dominating lightweight division. That's the only thing I could truly say. They're dominating the minor leagues, and they're dominating the lightweight division. That's what Russia has dominated. But as far as truly dominating the sport, they aren't. And again, let me get to the point I was about to get to. Let me get to that point. So there has never been a UFC. I'm not saying Pride, I'm not saying MMA. There has never been a UFC Russian champion. Yeah, I'm saying the wrong thing. There has never been a UFC heavyweight Russian champion. Never been a UFC light heavyweight Russian champion. Never been a middleweight UFC Russian champion. Never been a welterweight UFC Russian champion. Been 2 UFC lightweight Russian champions. But there's been plenty of American lightweight champions. There's been BJ Penn, Ben Henderson, Frankie Edgar, etc., etc. And both BJ Penn and Ben Henderson had 3 defenses. So Khabib's not the first to get 3 defenses. Islam's not the first to get 3 defenses, but Islam could be the first to get 4. So break that record. That'd be good. Again, they're dominating the lightweight division, but again, heavyweight, no one there. Well, no one winning no belt. Light heavyweight, middleweight. I mean, Ankalaev could potentially win the belt. He's right there. He could potentially win the belt. He's in a good spot. But he had a chance. He choked to Jan Blachowicz. Made that a split decision, and so no one got. He didn't get the belt. Not a split decision. It was a draw, so he didn't get the belt. But yeah, heavyweight, no one. Light heavyweight, no one. Middleweight, welterweight. Then you got lightweight, no one at featherweight, no one at flyweight, but you got someone at bantamweight. So how y'all dominating the sport when you only have touched the belt in 2 weight classes and only got, yeah, I would say that's far for dominating. But again, America has had champions in every single weight class, I believe. Yeah, I know heavyweight, light heavyweight, middleweight, welterweight, lightweight, featherweight, flyweight, bantamweight. I didn't know. We never had a women's featherweight champion, but the women's featherweight division has been dissolved, so there's that. Women's bantamweight, we had like about 2 champions. Strawweight, no one yet. Women's strawweight, no one yet. I mean, not strawweight. Women's flyweight, no one yet. But women's strawweight, we had. So pretty much outside of a couple of women's weight classes, America has had champions in all those different weight classes, and some fighters that are high on the GOAT list in all those weight classes as well. Whereas Russia has had, again, just really dominated the lightweight division. That's it. But I don't know where I'm gonna flow with this video, but it's just gonna flow. You could jump in when you want to jump in, jump out when you want to jump out. But the real threat, there's a real truth to the title of this video. It's not really so much pointed at Russia, but pointed at America itself. Like the issue that we're about to face or could potentially face in really 2025. It's not even about 2026, 2027, 2028, 2030. Literally 2025, present day, right around the corner. Very big issue America could face for the first time in history of modern MMA is right around the corner. And that's that we are very close to not having a single American champion in the UFC in the history of modern MMA, modern UFC. I'm talking about since it turned into the champion system and got away from that tournament system. I think that ended in like 1998, probably ended in 2000, 2001. I don't know, probably it probably ended in like 98, 97, 98. So probably from like 93, 97. But again, probably from the modern system of MMA in the UFC where, there are champions, not tournaments, but just champion. Like y'all work your way up rankings and champions instead of this one night tournament type system. Since that's what I talk about with modern MMA. And there has been American champions throughout all of modern MMA history. In the modern rankings and champion system, there has always been at least one American UFC champion. But we are very close to a reality where there is no reigning American UFC champion. We are very close to that reality. Now, I'm not even talking about interim because somebody can always slide in and be interim. But I'm talking about like a real legit champions. We are very close to a reality where there is no reigning American undisputed UFC champion. The last one we got right now is John Jones. As far as on the man's side. That's what I'll say. On the man's side. Because we got Juliana Pena on the woman's side. But she could easily lose her belt. Many people feel she lost her last fight and didn't deserve to win this one anyway. And Pennington was American too, I think. So she's American. But again, on the man's side, it's the bigger issue. Because the woman's side, you got Kayla Harrison about to come up. She could probably gonna win the belt. So it's probably going to stay in American hands. But on the man's side, we're focusing on the man's side. In the modern history of MMA, the first time there is not a single undisputed American male UFC champion is very close. And the last guy we got left right now is John Jones. And John Jones is, I thought he would retire this year and then Aspinall would pick it up. And at this point, we would not have a current man UFC champion or current male UFC champion if John Jones did do what I thought he would do, like beat Stipe, retire, walk off into the sunset. But he's still holding on to the belt. So we still currently have a male American UFC champion in the heavyweight champion John Jones. But outside that, light heavyweight Brazilian, middleweight South African, welterweight, he's really American, Bilal Muhammad, but he's gonna claim Palestine. He is Palestinian, so he can do wherever he went. Like Adesanya could be in New Zealand but claim Nigeria. Usman could be in America but claim Nigeria. I mean, they are Nigerian, so you can do what you want to do. But again, Bilal, as far as the flag he wears when he's fighting, is a fighter. He might be a Chicago-born, Chicago-raised guy, but he wears the Palestinian flag, so he's a Palestinian champion. So we don't got a welterweight champion. That's the Palestine. Lightweight, Dagestan, Russia. So we got Islam Makhachev. I'm not saying we do. I'm saying that's Islam Makhachev lightweight, so not American. Featherweight, Georgian Spaniard in Ilya. Bantamweight, Georgian fighter Rob Davalishvili. Flyweight, yeah, flyweight. Who's flyweight? Flyweight Brazilian. So we got two Brazilian champions. You know, again, Brazil always on the board. They got Pereira and they got Pantoja. Pantoja at flyweight. Yeah, that's the older man right there. So out of all the 8 divisions that are male divisions, we only have one champion. Russia has one currently. Brazil has 2. You got South Africa in the mix, and yeah, we got one of 7. Brazil got 2 of. I mean, we got 1 of 8. They got 2 of 8. But yeah, we are very close to reality where there are no male American UFC champions in the UFC, or at least I'm not saying not in UFC, but like guys that are currently holding. I'm not talking about former champions. I'm talking about current champions. Like current champions. We only have John Jones, and John Jones is very close to retirement. Like, who's going to step up next? We know we got Bo Nickel, but it seems like he's probably be 4 years before he's ready to fight for a belt. Seeming like, then you got like heavyweight. There's no one outside of John Jones that's really got a chance at the belt. Like literally no one right now that's a heavyweight American guy has a chance at the belt. Maybe we got what's his name? Gable Stevenson comes up, but that's probably about again 3-4 years before he's really in the mix. Or at least probably 2-3 years before he's in the mix. So we're going to be waiting a minute for him to even get in there. He can start fighting MMA today, starting the UFC today, but still probably again 3 years at least before he's, fighting for a belt. Or is able to really win a belt. And, you got Aspinall, who's a bright prospect or a bright star right now, who is, the most likely guy that's going to take the belt once John Jones leaves. So, and it's not like he's some old guy. Aspinall is like 31. Gable Stevenson's like 24, I believe. So he is younger than Aspinall, but 31 at heavyweight is different. So Aspinall could get the belt at 32, 33, probably potentially hold on to it for 5 years, maybe even longer. And yeah, that's a problem right there. So it's not like Gable Stevenson will get dropped into a division where he's facing a bunch of old over the hill fighters, and it would be to his best advantage. He's gonna go in there, still have some fighters that's in their prime, and he's not gonna be yet at his prime because when he's like 24, he's probably about 6 years, 7, 8 years from his MMA prime. Which is a good thing he could build onto, but it's not like he could jump in right now and I feel and make a big impact on the actual title picture in heavyweight. I don't think so. But we'll see. Yeah, as of right now, active fighters in the UFC, there's really no good heavyweight American prospects, in my opinion. Light heavyweight, really, in my opinion, no real good light heavyweight prospects. Well, yeah. Yeah, in my opinion, no one there. There's potential, but I ain't going to say, I feel like, in my personal opinion, I think they're gonna win the belt. Light heavyweight, middleweight got a couple. Again, Bo Nickel 4 years. He's there, but I think he need 4 more years of improvement. You got Brendan Allen. I don't think he's no title threat, but you never know. He has all the skills, but just needs to put them all together better, and he could be a title threat. But don't see it happening. But Brendan Allen's around there. Sean Strickland's still 31, 32, so he's young enough, and he did barely lose his belt, so he could potentially get the belt back. The last fight was very close. I felt he won. He could definitely get his belt back. Welterweight. Bilal really American, but he claims Palestine, so it is what it is. Sean Brady's there. Brian Battle's there. Kevin Holland could maybe go back there and lock in. Joaquin Buckley's there. So some people there at welterweight. Some people at welterweight. Some people at middleweight. Lightweight. I really don't feel like there really any real great lightweight American prospects right now. Nah. And as far as the old guns like Poirier and Holloway, well, Holloway's not that old, but the veterans like Holloway, Poirier, Gaethje. Do I feel like any of them gonna win the belt? Nah, not really. So I'm not gonna say lightweight really has anyone there right now. Lightweight, no real great title hopes for America at lightweight currently, or really even in the process as far as fighters that are in the UFC. I see some good Brazilian prospects at lightweight. But as far as American prospects at lightweight, I'm not really seeing too many great American prospects at lightweight. Other weight class. What do we got? Featherweight. Yeah, not saying no great featherweight prospects. Bantamweight, I feel like we got a good number of American bantamweight prize. I think Robert Russell Jr. Does he claim Mexico? I know he's Mexican, but does he claim Mexico? I think he claims Mexico. He's definitely American, I think, but I don't think he claim. I think he does claim Mexico, so I can't say him. But Peyton Talbot, he's a good American prospect, a real good American prospect. Sean O'Malley's still young enough, and he would just lost the belt, so he could potentially get back in the mix. There's like maybe two other guys. I can't really name them right now, but I do think bantamweight does have some good prospects, American prospects at bantamweight. Flyweight, not really saying the great American flyweight prospects right now. So, yeah, out of the weight classes right now, we got probably like some middleweight prospects, some welterweight prospects, some bantamweight prospects. That's really about it. No lightweight, no featherweight, no light heavyweight, no heavyweight. So we got about we got about three weight classes in my opinion right now where I can say we do have some clear good prospects that could potentially win the belt in the next 2-3 years. But we are in trouble right now because we don't have no one that I feel like that's right there. Again, Sean Strickland's right there. I guess I can say we're fully in trouble because Sean Strickland's right there. He's getting the next title shot to get that rematch, and he did arguably win the first fight. But again, it's not like we have that influx. Like we just have an overload of talent in every single weight class. We're like, yeah, somebody's gonna become champion. One of these Americans is definitely gonna become champion. Matter of fact, 2 or 3 of them gonna become champions. Like we aren't in that state where we have that luxury that we have had over the past 30 years of MMA, or at least the past 25, 26 years of MMA, where there has always been like a flood of great American prospects and American talent. Like where's it going? We have all these NCAA champions. Where are they going? Like where's J.D. Cox? No, he was ended his wrestling career. Is he coming over to MMA? We got that other dude from Maryland who just got like a bronze medal. Where is he doing? We got Gable Stevenson. What he's doing? Like we got some American Olympic wrestlers and world wrestlers and NCAA champions. Like we got the influx of talent. Like, but is it really coming transition over to MMA? I know for many years, like wrestlers taking over, wrestlers doing that, and you start to think all these NCAA wrestlers and champions and world wrestlers and this were saying they're gonna come over to MMA, but it never happened to the extent that they did say that they would come over. And then some of the ones that did, a lot of the ones that did come over just did not measure up. Like a lot of them took losses in Bellator and just called it quits, or made it here and this happened, that happened. But yeah, so it's like, where's the talent coming from? And I know we all in this kumbaya phase where like, oh, my favorite fighter is from New Zealand, my favorite fighter is from Australia, my favorite fighter is this Kazakhstani, my favorite fighter is this Russian. But we gotta get back to America. Like as far as Americans, I like it's cool to be fans of everybody, but like America, at the end of the day, we gotta be on top. Like we gotta get these people back in the game. Like we gotta get these prospects over to MMA, develop them right. And I know a lot of these MMA gyms, like a lot of these gyms are in America. A lot of these fighters that are dominating in America, like the fighters that are dominating, a lot of them may rep other countries, but they're training in America. Like again, go back to the Dagestanis and stuff. Like the only Dagestani that are truly dominating at the highest level are the Dagestanis that train out of AKA. You can say Abubakar, not Abubakar, but Abdulmanap, Khabib's father, he made these fighters. But none of these guys became champions until they went to AKA. Like he had, he nursed them, groomed them up to be who they are. But then AKA was able to take that what they are, and build them into championship fighters. Islam, Khabib, Umar probably soon. So again, like yes, Russians are doing well. But the only ones that have truly been able to dominate at the elite level have trained out of AKA assistant that already developed champions prior to any of those Russian guys coming over there. Like they already had Kane, they already had Cain Velasquez, they already had Cormier, they already had Luke Rocco, and that already made them champions. And then they were able to do that, get Khabib to become champion, and then Islam and whoever else comes up next. Usman is a champion in Bellator. And then they got some other champions in Bellator. But again, America, we got to get on it. We are definitely, matter of fact, we are in a very serious state. Sound alarms. Very close to the first time in history not having a single male American UFC champion. And yeah, we need to get on that and have a fighter, do what needs to be done. And a message or just responding to another American fighter. Sean Strickland was talking about the U.S. would dominate if they U.S. would dominate if all the college, the football players and the NFL players went to the UFC. Like, we're already dominating. You're part of it too because you got a belt. Again, Russia only has like 3-4 belts, maybe 5-6. You try to add on every single thing you can add on. And just by you winning the belt, very much American fighter, very much proud American fighter winning the belt, You are part of American success. Like we already had probably about 38 champions by that point, and then you like 39, such and such. But I definitely feel like yeah, over the history of MMA, we have dominated. Is it right now? We are struggling a bit. And again, we open a lot of doors, and I don't know. I don't know where all this talent is going or what they're doing, but we need to start getting this talent to come back over to MMA, feel it's worth it, and commit to it. I'm not talking about NFL players. If they want to do it and they can do it, cool. Do I feel like NFL players gonna be the ultimate hack for America? Like, oh, NFL players, those NFL talents come over here. I don't think so, because being an athlete and being a fighter are two different things. Like, you can be the most athletic person in the world, but that's not gonna make you a great fighter. And especially if we don't got no type of combat sports background, like you didn't wrestle, you didn't box, you didn't do taekwondo, you didn't do BJJ. It's not gonna be as big a thing. Like, the biggest thing is like try to get some of these wrestlers over here, try to get some of these BJJ players over here, and transition to fighter or boxers. Anybody that's like more of a combat sports kickbox, try to get them over here and transition to be more, mixed martial artists. But yeah, but my answer to that is that if anything, America has been dominating sport for a long time. It's not a case of we're in desperate need. They've been running the sports. Now we've been running the sport. America's been running the sport. But right now, there is a trend. Like, it's not even like really just Russia, because Russia, again, they only have 3 belts. How y'all really run anything out of 3 belts? It's just a general. It's a mixing pot of other countries coming here, and Brazil still staying consistent, whereas we aren't staying consistent. Like, it's Brazil. It's not Russia. It's Brazil. And I bet you anything, pretty soon some Brazilians gonna start dogging these Dagestanis out. That's having success in the UFC in the lightweight division. Like, that fighting Earth team probably gonna knock off Khamzat, probably knock off Islam and Usman and those people, and maybe Umar too. But yeah, it's Brazil. Brazil is the problem. Like, the other countries are mixing, like South Africa, Africa in general, and South Africa getting it, digging their hands into the pot. I don't know, Kyrgyzstan and Mexico. A couple people digging their hands in the spot. Russia, some other people digging their hand into the pot of gold in the UFC. But again, Brazil is staying consistent, and we are not. And we got to work on getting American talent involved in MMA, getting them locked in, coaching them up. But right now, coaches is just happy to get talent from anywhere, and I feel like that could be a big part of the problem, because they're happy to get talent from anywhere. They're giving them this American training, they're giving them this American facilities. You look at even fighters, people that aren't involved with MMA, like The Rock Johnson. I forget where the guy's from. That again, I forget names, and it don't matter. But the African fighter who just got stopped by Thimagarimbo. We saw The Rock, American superstar, like multi-millionaire, with he was like 9-figure dude, maybe a 10-figure dude, celebrity. We gave Thimagarimbo a house, gave him loads of money, and Thimagarimbo, he might live in America, might claim America now, but his flag is not American. So we need to start investing back in America, whether it's gyms in America, local, small town, or whatever the case may be, so we can start building back our own prospects, and before we go through a whole period where there's an American champion. Like, I feel like at this point, I feel like it's gonna be short lived, because I do feel like John Jones gonna retire soon, and there's probably not gonna be a champion for like a year, maybe 2 years. That's American, as far as men go. But I do feel like probably in the next 4 years, definitely by the next 4 years, there's gonna be some more American champions. But I feel like we are gonna go through a little short dry spell about a year or two where there's not going to be an American champion once John Jones retires and vacates his belt, or whatever happens with that, it goes down. I feel like we are going to have a dry spell, but we got to realize it and start putting the work again and make America great again, as they would say. But yeah, America's definitely in a tough spot right now, but we definitely have the talent. It's just a matter of putting it towards the right place, or directing it to the right place. And that's not even just talking about, we get the football player to do this, we get the basketball player to do that. Screw those basketball players, screw those football players, screw those soccer players. Get some wrestlers over here. Matter of fact, get some average Joes who probably got some talent. Or matter of fact, get some guys that, I don't know, just don't have to be NFL. Just get some athletes. Get some people that are athletic, got a natural will to fight in them, and direct them. Like, it could be some former prisoners. Does anybody with some will to fight? It could be some former athletes. It don't have to be no NFL athlete. It don't have to be no this athlete. But like, fighters that have the athletic ability in them, but also are fighters at heart, and direct them to MMA. And yeah, we'll be back on the board. And also the fighters that we do have currently, That time they'll develop. Then once they develop and they become champions, the people that are on the back burner, like the people that we are transitioning to MMA, get them some more years. They'll be able to come up underneath them and take the belt once they relinquish the belt, whether they win it, whether they lose it or retire. Then you have your next crop of talent. But right now, it's just not lined up as good as it should be. I said should it be as good as it should be, especially given how much talent we have and how much we have dominated sport. And even at this point, still Brazil, we can have a chance for the next 10 years. To be honest, I'm not gonna say 10 years. We can have a chance for the next 6 years, and Brazil not passing us. We got to have a chance for the next 20 years, and none of those other countries touching us for the next 20 years, because we have done such big work, but we can't afford to sit on our hands. You know what I'm saying? That's cool and all to say, but at no point should you ever sit on your hand. We know the story of the tortoise and the hare. The hare got off to a good start, was dominated and took breaks. That's what America's doing right now. They're taking breaks. The talent's not there as much, or at least not as elite as it should be and could be. And now you start to see Africa coming. We start to see China coming. Russia's winning belts. Not as much as people not as much as people make them out to be winning, but they are winning some belts, some major belts. But Brazil is always right there, and Brazil stay consistent. USA, again, we're dropping the ball, but Brazil, they're staying consistent. I feel like Brazil always has about 2 champions. They currently have 2. I would say they always have at least 2 champions. Whereas America, at one point we always had at least 3 or 4 champions, but now we dropped to we got 1 champion, and that's crazy. Because we always have more champions than them. We still have overall more champions because they have 20. We have 40. So we have double the amount of champions they have. Then you throw in title defenses. We probably have about 100 title defenses. They probably have about 50 or 60. But that's been the video. What are your thoughts? Y'all really think that Russia's running things, or are y'all realistic and see that it's been Brazil and America running things? And do you think that America can rebound and really get back to being the dominant force that they have always been, or that we have always been? Because I'm American. I'm going to say it's obvious, I'm American. But to be the dominant force that we have always been and get back to that dominance that we have been showing really since the beginning of modern MMA, especially in the UFC. But leave your thoughts in the comment section below. But that's been the video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.